Hello, Mr. Ivan. How are you?
Hello. Oh, wait, what? Am I on live?
No, wake up, wake up.
I thought you were going to have a commercial break for another 20 minutes.
Oh, God, no. No. I need you on here. I need you to wake up the patriots. I need you to wake up everybody. Bring us some truth and kick, some people in the proverbial backside, because you're the man out there getting the truth. You're in people's faces. You know what's going on, and you are a constitutional guy. Welcome to my show.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, anytime. I mean, it's been fun every time you've been here. I think the last time we saw each other, 45/47 was here. You were in the front row there, and I was one row over to you, and we were like, oh my gosh, it was like fabulous. It was all about veterans, and man, that was like electric, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a nice event. Yeah, I like coming up to New Hampshire. It seems as though I'm making New Hampshire my second or third home there. Spent a lot of time in Florida and Wisconsin and New Hampshire at this point.
So you're making the rounds, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm going to be in Vermont, I believe, next weekend.
Oh, cool. Wow. You'll have to beep as you go through, or unless you're flying over in, Air Force One or something.
I think I'm supposed to fly, but we'll have to take care of that hopefully by tomorrow.
Yeah. So talk to me. So we're wide open because you're on the front lines of everything. Let's start with the latest. So what do you think of this bogus, gray-haired, ne'er-do-well Bernie Sanders knockoff judge going after Trump's attorney, telling her, shut up, sit down, control your client? Who talks like that? I mean, I'm not going to say I'm not surprised, because I am, because I still believe in respect and civility. And I am horrified that man would be so disrespectful to that lady. What do you think?
I haven't been really following it. I will say this, that depending on what they do, that is going to be the precedent times 10 that we're going to do on them. So if they don't want consequences that they and their family don't want to regret, then they probably want to be fair adjudicators of the law. If they want to face the last two letters, they probably don't want to do the first two letters if they're not willing to face the next two letters. So, I mean, that's really my response to all of them. And I could care less if they're in positions of authority and power. They are illegitimately conducting themselves, okay? A lot of these guys are illegitimately in place. So they can physically try to dominate us, you and me. At the end of the day, enough of us are now awake that it really doesn't matter what they do to us physically. Psychologically, we've already won. Mm-hmm. Now the physical aspect has to catch up.
So I was saying,
that's what we're trying to create.
Yeah. So I know, you've been here with Marilyn, and you've been with a whole bunch of people, and we've been fighting the Dominion AccuVote voting machines, and it's been across the United States, but I know you've had a lot to do here in New Hampshire, helping us fight the fight. And, we've been going into the town halls and getting evidence and sending it back and forth, which has been awesome. We've been a great little, I don't know what the word is we want to use, but we've been a great investigative group and sharing information with each other, because, we're here, we're Americans, we're patriots, and we don't want our elections stolen anymore. So today, 3 of us filed, and I can't say too much, but a federal suit up in Concord, New Hampshire. I'll be sending that to you as soon as I get a case number, so you can take a look at it and just have a really good chuckle.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see, because, let's see.
Yeah, I think you'll be very proud of the 3 of us. And even your friend Daniel went, "Holy cow, you didn't."
Mr. Richard?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
It was kind of like the proud brother. He called me and he said, "I can't believe you three did that."
Why have you not sent me the docket number? Or
Because we literally just did it barely a couple hours ago. We don't have a case number. They changed the rules apparently for filing in federal court. So we went from 5 original copies to 3, and today now it's just 1. And oh, by the way, we're going to mail you the case number.
Okay. Wait, are you filing in federal or state court?
Federal.
Okay.
Yeah. So based on that though, so I said
is
to
that
the
a pro se, or is that you have a legal team?
No, pro se.
Okay. We shall see.
I can see this happening with you. And your grin's getting really big. So watch out, people. So my point is that, so we've got President Trump, we've got strong people like you and his lawyers and patriots all over the United States, and Mike Lindell. And we can't just sit on the couch and hope someone else is going to come to the rescue, that someone else is going to do the work for us. We all need to be fighting this. And this was our little part. And I started 4 years ago with Maryland, and we're escalating up to this. I've got groups that are filing notices, and it's death by 1,000 cuts. And I know you're going around doing the same thing. So talk to us about, what are you seeing as far as wins and what's being fought in all the different states with the voting machines and the integrity and all of that?
I mean, just off the top of my head, we have a new Speaker of the House that is a massive upgrade from the previous China First Republican leader, McCarthy, right?
Yep.
Like, I would much rather have a Louisiana Republican that is backed by a trifecta Republican legislature and Governor-elect Landry, than a California Republican who is backed by a Nancy Pelosi, Gavin Newsom, and trifecta Democrat Party. So that's a massive upgrade, massive. Okay. Number 2, you heard about that fraud case in, I believe, Connecticut?
Yes.
That just took place. So that just kind of opens things up, and then Elon Musk is definitely engaged in the conversation on X, which helps amplify. You got to remember that between Tucker, who's now a much more prominent figure than Joe Rogan, when you look at the numbers, Tucker gets 10x easily what Rogan is basically drawing in terms of viewership. So he has now supplanted Joe Rogan as the biggest content creator on the planet. And obviously, Elon Musk's amplification is the biggest content creator individually. But that puts us in a much more balanced position in the court of public opinion. Because let's face it, a lot of people want to sue, but who represents the infrastructure in order to get a fair trial? Well, if the content that the judge consumes and the jury pool consumes is curated and manipulated by the FBI, the DHS, and the entire federal weaponized government, that means that jury pool is already predisposed in the direction of the regime. And they're the ones that are providing the country with misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. So when we have alternate free speech platforms, this, Truth, Getter, Telegram, Rumble, Clout Hub, Gab, etc., and now X, mostly, I guess, we're in a much stronger position than we've ever been since November of 2018. Because in November of 2018, after the midterm elections, that's when the censorship scheme started. And then it escalated massively after 2020.
2020, exactly. It grew exponentially. Absolutely. I agree with you. So So you obviously, did you hear about the case in Texas where where the court agreed that the voting machines had not been certified since 2019.
Yeah,
So
but I think that's an issue probably across the entire country.
there you
So it's
go.
not an addition. I think the key thing that needs to happen is we need to get off of the machines. The state legislatures need to pass laws that basically ban the machines.
Yep.
And then in those states that have trifecta Democrat governor legislatures that are going to attempt to keep a certain candidate off the ballot, I think those states' Republican parties need to change the way in which they allocate their delegates. And they need to pre-allocate their electors. Well, I'll put it this way. States with Republican legislatures that are a majority, they need to go ahead and pre-allocate whoever the eventual Republican nominee is for that state to allocate. Hey, go figure. That circumvents the machines, that circumvents the secretaries of state and all the non-legislative actors that stole the election in 2020. They no longer have the ability to do so. So that's kind of a mechanism. And the second mechanism is to have the Republican Party and the Democrat trifecta states go ahead and allocate their electors who they see fit to be the nominee. Or not electors, excuse me, delegates.
Delegates,
For the primary, it's delegates. For the general election, it'd be electors. I want to make sure I'm accurate in explaining that.
So what I see happening, and
like in Colorado, for example, right? We're talking
Yeah.
Colorado. It's like, all right, you're not going to be on the ballot. Okay, great. Republican Party of Colorado. Why don't you go ahead and have a convention? It circumvents the ballot issue. Bye. Next.
Yep. Well, all these little rules and regulations that we're finding.
But again, I don't know the details of Colorado law. So
Right. The rules and regulations that, everybody believes are laws. Oh, you can't change your party affiliation. Oh, you can do this. Oh, you can't do that. Allowing the opposite or the undeclared, it's not even independent, but undeclared, to choose a presidential candidate. I mean, what is this insanity? The party is supposed to choose their candidate, not have all sorts of people wandering in for the moment and saying, oh, we're going to pick for you. I mean, that's the insanity I'm looking at right now. And where did that ever come from? I thought we were supposed to pick who we wanted for our presidential candidate, not have every
Yeah, but the problem that we're facing right now is that the Chinese Communist Party's has installed their ambassador that is also dual-headed as Big Pharma's brand ambassador in the White House. And so downstream from that, they're creating all the necessary, I'm talking about Biden. It's pronounced Jiden at this point, right? So every downstream actor from this lawless and illegitimate executive branch is creating mechanisms to retain their illegitimate power. And I don't know where it ultimately ends, but I can guarantee that it does not end well for the Biden criminal syndicate. Okay. I'm not sure what that looks like yet.
Yep.
It's going to really depend on how much they escalate. So, in science, where there's an action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Yep.
But in my science, kind of like Anthony Fauci's science, but in my science, it's whenever there's an action, there is at least a 10 times opposite reaction. So going back to the nice phrase back there, I think there's enough of us at this point that are going to guarantee consequences for the Biden criminal syndicate. And today we saw a little bit we're getting closer to that. So what you see us doing, patriots, when you know something is happening that's pretty substantive, you know it to be the case with a subsequent criminalization and indictment of those in the Trump ecosystem. because they are forced to do that in order to stop them from being exposed. It's like it's pre-bunking what's coming to them.
Yep.
And so I use the phrase, it's a game of chicken, right? And I don't lose. So it's either we're going to continue to cause mutually assured destruction or we win. And to me, it doesn't matter which one it is. It's up to the other side to decide on whether they're going to lose or not win.
I like that very, very much. That's very clever. I like that. So, talk to me. So the last time you were here in New Hampshire, you were with Karen and Daniel. Tell me what happened at that meeting. There was I think, I'm trying to remember, there was a gentleman there that came to, I don't know, spy on you, hear what you had to say, and tried to leave at the beginning of the meeting.
Oh, and yeah, I was having a little senile moment. I've been traveling so much that I can't remember tired. When I was last in New Hampshire. Yes. Yes, absolutely. So I don't know about spying. Basically, a young gentleman who used to be a close associate, maybe he still is, with Baby Sununu, who's the current failed governor of New Hampshire, who takes it upon himself to violate constitutional rights, First Amendment of women and children, weaponizes himself against, and by the way, he claims to be a Republican, albeit a China First Republican. The guy is an embarrassment, right? Now, having said that, one of his associates was at an event that I spoke at that Karen set up for me. It was great. And he wanted to leave a couple minutes into the event. I think he is working on Kelly Ayotte's campaign.
Yeah, exactly.
For governor. I have no issue. Let me put it this way. She has, as far as I know, she hasn't violated people's First Amendment like Chris Sununu. So I can't put her in the same category of embarrassment and disgust as him. He's my number one target. But his lackey, if you will, or former lackey, was there, wanted to run off. And I asked him politely, sir, I mean, you're going to miss out on a lot of information that you may not know about. And it would be disrespectful for you to stand up right now and leave. And luckily, Dan also walked out and convinced him to stick around. And to this gentleman's credit, he stuck around till pretty much the very end of the speech. Now, he didn't have to agree with everything, but facts are facts, right? And if he wants to fact check anything that I said, by all means. You can't unhear what I presented and put together on a lot of issues, because I have not found anybody. The stuff that I talk about, it's stuff that I can almost guarantee that I am the subject matter expert in, which, it's a very narrow political sense, J6 stuff, and the corruption at the highest levels. Once you hear that, it's kind of difficult to unhear. And luckily he heard it, and I don't have anything negative to say about the gentleman, but I did tell him that make sure you pass on to Chris Sununu that I would love to have a conversation with him, and I would tell him to his face, just like I talk about him when he's not around. And if he's listening to this video, maybe I'll just send this clip to him. Governor Sununu, you are absolutely an embarrassment. If I was a resident and a voter of New Hampshire, I would be absolutely embarrassed that we have a mini tyrannical Biden. So you have the Biden criminal syndicate is leveraging the FBI to censor at a national level and digitally. And they're trying to leverage the DHS to physically censor. Well, Sununu was doing the same thing. You're in the same boat as these disgusting, illegitimate violators of our Constitution. And boy, would I love to challenge you to a charity boxing match. And we could, whoever wins gets to choose which charity it is. And it would have to be a New Hampshire charity.
Yep.
And I would be ready, willing, and able to come up there anytime, day, with 24 hours notice. time and location of Sununu's choosing. And we can go as long as he would like. And if he doesn't want to do boxing charity event, then he named the contact sport.
Yep. I love it. I love it. When you were here, you said that last time, and he's been painfully silent.
And now, actually, I threw out my back, so he might even have an advantage.
Ooh.
So,
Ooh.
just throwing it out there, you may have a couple of, you may have an advantage over the next couple of days while I recover.
This much advantage, Chris. This much. Yeah. Not my favorite person lately. So with you being, the expert on
what he did.
Talk to us about where that is. And holy cow, we got people getting put away for 15 years and 10 years and
22 years for not being in Washington, D.C. and basically talking smack, saying, ha, 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 look what happened. They got 22 years.
I don't understand this. I mean, you want to talk about witch hunts. You want to talk about just absolute.
So here's the problem. The reason why people don't understand it is it doesn't sound humble. You haven't really been following my work. The way this happens is that the authority that can decide who to prosecute and how much to prosecute them starts with the Capitol Police Chief in coordination with the Capitol Police General Counsel. And then when you look at who those people are, you look at the General Counsel, his name is Tad DeBias. And then you look at his background, formerly from the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C., was kicked out, I'm hearing, because he was sexting some of his employees. And then anyway, he goes over to the General Counsel's office and the U.S. Capitol Police. And then guess who the previous and now current Capitol Police Chief are? So the previous acting Capitol Police Chief from January 8th until July 23rd of 2021 was Yogananda Pittman, who formerly was the Assistant Capitol Police Chief for Intel and Interagency Coordination Division. She was the Fedsurrection warlord for Nancy Pelosi that coordinated the interagency component of those federal actors, the undercovers, the insiders, the instigators.
Yeah.
And then it was Nancy Pelosi's daughter who was the one that coordinated from the inside.
Yeah.
And then it was her son-in-law that coordinated on the outside with Outer Breach Team Leader Ray Epps and John Sullivan, Inner Breach Team Leader. So when the intentional breach of the Capitol happened based on those individuals that I just described, along with the House Sergeant at Arms and the Senate Sergeant at Arms, then that's when they sprung into action to criminalize all those opponents of the Uniparty that were present on the Capitol grounds that day. So if you're close in relationship to Trump and you're on the Capitol grounds, guess who has jurisdiction to criminalize you? Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer's Capitol Police Chief. And then they go ahead and talk to the Capitol Police officer that was next to the guy that you're trying to persecute, and you ask that Capitol Police officer sign a sworn affidavit to match what you just manipulated the CCTV footage to show about that J6 defendant. And if you, Capitol Police officer, don't want to do that, we're going to go ahead and fire you for not playing ball. So then that evidence, the CCTV footage, doctored, manipulated, curated, along with these forced, coerced lie by the Capitol Police officer, is put together in a package and sent over to the U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI and the DOJ so that they can add their third layer of manipulated TDS, right? And then they take those three layers and then go ahead and, before they send it to the court, they wait for the J6 Select Cover-Up Committee to create enough content in the court of public opinion, along with their corporate media lackeys, to include faux news, some people pronounce it Fox, to educate the jury pool in Washington, D.C., and the judges in D.C., to add the fourth and fifth layer of TDS before the jury or judge decides to give the 100% conviction rate to all J6 defendants. And then when they get convicted, Matt Graves over at the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. contacts his contact over at the Bureau of Prisons, if it's at a federal penitentiary, or his buddies over at the mayor's office in D.C. or the warden at the D.C. Gulag, and says, "Hey, I just went ahead and criminalized the following. Make sure you upgrade them to special treatment, maximum solitary confinement, because they are the ones that we're going after politically." That is what's going on. And everyone's just in the J6 community focused in on, oh, we got to present evidence in the courtroom. Guess what? You've already lost. Where we can win is to expose the legislative branch, the manipulation of the CCTV footage, the Capitol police officers, getting them. And how do we do that? Through the removal of Kevin McCarthy. And it's to ensure that Mike Johnson and Barry Loudermilk and Brian Stile, all three members of Congress, have a boot in their proverbial you-know-what, knowing that millions of us now know how the criminalization occurred as it applies to J6. The curated manipulation of the evidence occurred, and we demand the full release of everything. Number one, we demand the CCTV footage. Number two, we demand all the internal documents, emails, phone calls, phone logs, text messages of every single person in leadership of U.S. Capitol Police that I mentioned, and the Capitol Police Board, and Nancy Pelosi and her staff, and Chuck Schumer and his staff, the mayor of D.C., the Metropolitan Police Chief, etc., and Nancy Pelosi's family members, right? John Sullivan, Ray Epps. That's just a start. Then we need to get these different chairs of the committees of oversight, judiciary, House admin to go ahead and subpoena Elon Musk's Twitter so that he releases all the user content for all 51 that covered for the Biden criminal syndicate laptop, for all 39 that unmasked General Flynn, for all of the members of the Mueller team that have Twitter accounts to include their DMs, for everyone involved in the censorship industrial complex, all legislative, executive branch, judicial branch actors that have been involved in the criminalization of all J6 and then the constant coup. I want access to all of their Twitter account information and direct messages so I can link it all. And oh, by the way, while we're at it, I'm going to send that same subpoena over to Google, to YouTube, to Hotmail, to AOL, to Sprint, to AT&T, to Verizon, to T-Mobile, to every single big tech platform, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagarbage. Can you imagine the trove of information that we're going to prove? It would be enormous, illegitimate executive branch, legislative branch, and judiciary. Oh, wouldn't that be sad?
I think it would be 100 times worse than Hunter Biden's laptop. That's for sure.
I think that's called Twitter files on steroids.
I think so. Yeah. I absolutely, I don't think there's a thumb drive big enough.
So Jim Comer, head of oversight, if you're listening, please. Jim Jordan, if you're listening in, chair of weaponization and judiciary, you might want to throw those subpoenas out. Speaker Johnson, if you're listening in, sir, I think it's time. You've had 2 weeks. I love you, sir, but it's been 2 weeks. Let's go.
Let's roll. Let's go.
Barry Loudermilk, If you're listening in, yeah, I'll make sure Laura Logan knows so that when she contacts you too, you can
This is
consider that.
brilliant, brilliant.
Luckily, I have all their phone numbers.
Well, of course you do. You're right there. You're there.
Now, I can't guarantee they read anything, but I
Right.
like to follow up in person
Well, it's
and
the
do
only way.
these shows
You don't want to
and text and email. Huh?
You don't just want to talk the talk. You're actually got the numbers, following up, reaching out, which a lot of people don't. They just blah, blah, blah. You know, I this, I that. They don't follow up.
Yeah, so once we get to, I try, but once we get to a level of kind of a little bit of stability here in our constitutional order, I might just go back and be retired fully and just watch. Go back to, just consuming content instead of pushing it out.
Yep. Oh, I'm super psyched that you're doing this. You bring a whole nother level. You're there in person. You're here with us all the time, especially in New Hampshire. And we appreciate that so much because you're bringing what's going on in DC directly to us. You're bringing what's going on in Wisconsin directly to us. You're involved. You've got the Constitution at your fingertips. You're smart. You actually go and listen to these hearings, and you go to all these meetings. Like that, I can't think of her name, but that lady, and you asked her about, well, how is it? What is it that you said? Something about, and how many people have you killed today with the facts or something?
With Dr. Walensky.
Yeah.
Ivan Raiklin. Oh, I really look forward to your testimony as you testify in your involvement of murdering over 38,000 Americans due to the jab.
Yep. Boy, she couldn't turn her face. I mean, she really covered the shock really well, but you could see, if faces, she was like, oh shit, and quick turned around.
Yeah, I always like to sit behind Christopher Ray Epps as well. Last week I was right behind him. Every time I walk in, they triple their security. Cowards.
Well, like you're really dumb enough to do anything like that. All you need to do is sit behind them because, liars and cheaters and.
No, but they don't like it when they are embarrassed publicly like that.
Oh.
I mean, let's face it, it's pretty powerful when you put yourself in a stronger position than the FBI director.
Yep.
Simply for your knowledge and the sounds that come out of your mouth, because they know, we know that we know, right? But most of the lemmings still aren't kind of awake. Once you get to a point, imagine this. Imagine we can get the lemmings to react to the lawlessness of our executive branch at the same level that they've manipulated them to say, oh, look at Israel, look at the new religion.
Oh, yeah.
We went from pandemic COVID. We went to Ukraine religion. We went to climate change religion. That didn't really work. So then what did they have to pivot to?
Israel.
The Israel religion. And what's going to happen tomorrow? I think they're going to escalate on that.
I do too. I think this is sort of their last ditch effort. They're in for what was it? In for a pound, in for a penny. That's the saying from way back when, that they've got to make this work. They've got to gaslight, and they've got to get everybody. I mean, they've got people in the colleges. They're like,
no, I mean, imagine, like, if you read my Substack, right? I've already created the lists of people that we need to go after.
Yep.
And they know that we have these lists. So then what do you do in their position? Like, retain power at all costs.
Oh, yeah, they'll do anything.
And guess what? At all costs is coming.
Yeah, and they're not going to like the cost. They're not going to.
At all costs. Hey, I will provide you at all costs. And guess what? I go back to what I said earlier. In the game of chicken, I don't lose.
Yeah, I love it. You don't. You don't. And people need to go. So I've got these videos where you were here in New Hampshire and you're coming out of the lake with your boxing gloves on. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Please indulge me.
Right. Come on, Chris. It was classic. It wasn't the Loch Ness monster coming out. It's Ivan, and it's like, holy shit, guy! This guy's coming out of the pond with boxing gloves on. Honest to God, he's swimming with boxing gloves on. You better watch out, dude. And you didn't come out like, whoosh, whoosh. You were like boom, 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 coming around. I'm like, holy crap! How does he run through 3 feet of water? But I do know how you do that. But it's no wonder that Chris is hiding. You
Now
know?
I have his cell phone. I've texted him, but he doesn't respond.
Oh, he won't. He was on phone news this morning. They were asking his little old opinion, and this is what we got. He's got St. Vitus dance, for Pete's sakes. Honest to God, take your ADHD meds, dude.
It's an embarrassment. So I'm embarrassed. Like, I'm embarrassed at what we have right now.
I mean, why does
representing?
He was hugging frigging Biden the whole time. Biden would land, and he's like hugging him, doing the big man hug thing, which is really weird, especially with Biden. And then he went on to the Pence, love fest, and now it's
our beloved Uniparty Mikey P is
and now
race so that he can continue to attack the one guy that's going to continue to expose Mike Pence's cowardice and treasonous activity. So they have to continue to weaponize.
But he dropped out because he hasn't got a snowball's chance in hell.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll take credit for that.
Golf clap all around, Ivan. And then, golf clap.
Well, let me pat myself on the back.
But now we've got Chris Christie, the crispy critter, Krispy Kreme critter. That's now the love of the Uniparty.
Well, yeah, because remember, guess who Chris Christie's attorney was during Bridgegate?
I don't.
Chris Ray.
Shut up.
People don't realize these things. This is all incestuous corruption.
Man.
And I don't know why. Maybe one reason why they don't come after me is because if you bring me in to testify, this and that, all the beans get spilled.
They're not prepared for that, are they?
And so the safest thing for them is just to ignore me. And that's what they do. And they've been able to survive for 3 years by simply ignoring me.
Wow. So you think this is coming to an end? Do you think we're having a lovely firework ending? It's going to be brilliant, and Guy Fawkes Day all and 4th of July rolled into one.
I mean, look at what they've done already. So they allow China to work with the drug cartels to kill 100,000 of our kids a year. They fund the Wuhan Institute of Virology to, if you believe their numbers, to murder over 1 million Americans.
Yep.
They block any potential safety cures from being even talked about.
Correct.
As it applies to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, CCP 19. I mean, these are, I don't know what to say. When people realize that their friends, family, and neighbors have been murdered by the millions as a result of what the decisions were by the FBI, the DHS, the DOD leadership, and the current people in the White House.
Yep.
And
paying allegiance, let's not forget, to NATO, UN.
I don't know. I mean, it's.
Meanwhile, taking our money and shoveling it over there through IMF. I mean, just can't make this stuff up.
I mean, there's only a few buildings in DC where the individuals that are affiliated with those buildings, if there would be a nice little cleansing to occur, I think that would be a very quick autocorrect back to our constitutional order. Yeah,
you think? They've got fences around all the buildings, and we're not seeing too many people going in and out. Once in a while you'll see an odd person flitting in and out, but for the most part. And here's the thing: how come they haven't got all the red paint off the gates of the White House? That's really, quite I'm really upset about my house being disrespected and red paint all over the gates, and they haven't cleaned that shit off the gates. What's
Well,
wrong?
why would China
Power
clean it
hat.
off? Why would China do that?
Because
Why
they're
would China clean up the White House?
Yeah. Good point. I was
I
thinking
mean,
that,
they're giving 10% for the big guy. Why would, like, that's
yeah,
part of what they get in return.
yeah. I just kind of thought it would be like they might leave it on there because to show the blood, the blood of the current owner of the White House, showing his hand, the blood he has on his hands for the murders and the mayhem that he's done since he's been in there, the lives that he's destroyed. I figured that's why they left it on. But I mean, in a way, it's pretty disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people are going to catch on to that one quite as quick.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm going to have to wrap it up. This is my 4th interview today, and I think it's going to be that's all she wrote. When it rains, it pours.
I love it. I was just going to say thank you so much, and take care of your back. And when all else fails, go get one of the pool noodles, and you put it from the back of your head and you lay on it. And the 4-inch ones are great because it opens up the whole thoracic and stuff and helps you like realign. That's my latest thing for my back.
No. Before I have one of these.
Uh-oh. So
it's better than the noodle. See that?
Yeah, but if you get one that goes from your head to below your spine and you bend your knees and you sit there for 10 minutes, so it opens up the whole chest and everything for realignment, especially in the shoulders and all that kind of stuff and into your neck. It's pretty darn amazing.
Yeah, I just need to do a little stretching and I'm back to normal. We're good.
All right. So go get some sleep, my friend. I appreciate you so much coming on. As always, it's a blast. Keep on keeping on because it's amazing to have you in there poking the bear, poking whatever, but especially poking those nitwits up there at the top.
I poke the bear until it bleeds out.
Of course you do.
So
Thank you.
It takes some time, right? Like how long does it take for an inmate to break out of jail, right? Eventually it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. We just need it to happen a little bit quicker, but that's all right. It's deep and wide, and it's going to take a little while.
Yes, ma'am.
Friend. All right. See you soon.
Yep. See ya.
All right. Blessings. Bye-bye.